So we got the 4 cards here. Carbon fiber 2x2 twill. This is the kit that I'm using. I got it off eBay. Comes with instructions, pretty simple kit. The only thing that you need is basically a pair of gloves and you're good to go. So I'm going to start by etching the fork guards with a nice sharp knife like this, just to make something for the epoxy to kind of stick to and just kind of sit in there, so when you lay on your carbon fiber, it has something, it won't really slide off and move around. Just helps adhesion promotion. So this stuff is 2-to-1 for the hardener and then the epoxy resin. So go ahead and get that ready. I'm going to get these ready, clean these up nice, and get them kind of so they're not going to move. I just use some duct tape, tape them on like that. And then I'll cut this down to size, put the resin on. I'm going to wait like 25 minutes till it gets tacky, and then go ahead and lay this on, and then put the rest of the resin on. Wait 24 hours for that to harden up, and then on to the next step. So if these were white or a different color, you'd want to apply a black ground coat, so that way when you lay your carbon fiber on, you wouldn't see that color underneath. So I can actually skip that step. That's why, like I said, I'm going to do the first coat with the epoxy and then stick on the carbon fiber. Got the 2 pieces of carbon fiber cut to size. I'm going to mix the epoxy up. Right now, 2-to-1. Got the little scale right here. Going to have to do this very carefully. This is my first time doing it, but I'm pretty knowledgeable of what steps I need to take to get this done correctly. The only thing I'm a little uncertain about is what I'm going to do at this part right here. I'm not sure if I'm going to try to cut the carbon fiber and lay it over it, or try to fit it around it, just because it's going to be tough on that little spot. But this one should be pretty straightforward, so we'll see how it turns out. So I mixed up 22 grams, did 15, and then about 7 of the hardener. So once this is fully mixed up too, you're going to have 25 minutes working time. So once it gets tacky, that's when you're going to want to put your carbon fiber on there and just lay it on there nice and evenly. Make sure it goes down nice and smooth. Try not to pull it too much, because you'll mess up the weave. You want to make sure you mix this stuff really good. If it has air bubbles in it like that, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Just mix it for a good 2 minutes before you go ahead and put that on there. And don't forget, you got a 25 minutes working time before it sets up. But we want to make sure that we catch it while it's still tacky, so we can lay this stuff on and it's going to stick. And then we'll wait overnight and then apply the next coat, and that's when we can go ahead and trim the edges off. So I got about 8 minutes left on the timer. Mixed about perfect amount, 15 grams, and I did 7 grams of the hardener. This is what I use to smooth it out. You can just kind of go around just like that. Next step, I'm going to take this and lay that on each piece nice and evenly. I decide I'm going to try to wrap this the best I can. We'll see what happens. If not, I'll cut a little line in it and push it over it. But got about 5 minutes left on the timer. And now, if you look, it's getting sticky, just kind of like glue. So once it gets to that point where it's almost like a glue, that's when you're going to want to go ahead and grab that and lay it on there. And then make sure every corner is pressed down nice and firmly. Carbon's laid down. No, it doesn't look good right now, but it's going to look good after a couple coats. So this was the hard part. What I ended up doing right here was laying the whole piece. And when I got right here, I just cut it with the scissors all the way up to here, and then just tried to press it in on each side. It's not going to be perfect, but it's pretty much perfect. What I figured anyway is the cable clamp is going to cover this section of it, so you really won't even notice it. So the ground coat's down right now. That's all stuck. I'm going to go ahead and mix up some more. And then, so it's still a little tacky underneath there, but I'm going to put a nice coat on, then let it harden up overnight, and then come back tomorrow, and I'll clean up all my edges, and then go around, sand it all up, and move on to the next step. So I went ahead and trimmed the edges all the way around just to make it easier for this first coat of the top coat. So I mixed up about 20 grams, or exactly 20 grams of the epoxy, 10 grams of the hardener this time. So this is going to be the first top coat I do. I'm going to just lather it on there and just wet the carbon fiber. I'm going to use this brush and then just go ahead and start brushing it on like so. Just a little at a time. Look at that. It already looks beautiful, huh? Like carbon fiber. So go ahead and put a bunch of this on just to wet it. You don't need to go crazy, just nice and even just to keep it down. And then after that, you can go ahead and go crazy after this, but this will just be the first coat. So let me go ahead and do this and then see how it looks after the first coat. That's how we're looking. First top coat, looking pretty good. You don't have to get it super smooth. This is just to get it down good. Let this harden up overnight, and then I'll go ahead and do the next coat tomorrow after I give it a nice trim around the edges and do a light sanding. So these cured up overnight. Looks like the epoxy's finally hardened up really good. Already taken shape, nice. Did the best I could there. That will sand out. You can see. So this first top coat, you're not so worried about getting it super smooth. It's about just getting it wet and nice. So that's where we're at right now. The next coat, I'm gonna go ahead and try to lay it on a little bit smoother, and I'm not going to do as many coats as some people would on these, just because I'm going to go ahead and clear coat them after with some automotive 2-part clear, which will also make it stronger too, and it'll be UV protected. I'm not sure if this stuff is UV or not, and I'm going to go ahead and drill out these holes from the back side with a smaller drill bit first, and then touch up the edges like I said, and then be on to the mixing some more epoxy and putting the second top coat on. I think I'm going to try one of these first. Like I said, I'm going to bring this all outside and then go to town on this. It's going to be a mess, so make sure you're using a respirator. I got my painting respirator, the one they use for automotive. It shouldn't be too bad. Another thing to keep in mind, these fibers are really itchy. Last night when I went to bed, I'm like, why am I so itchy? And then I figured out why it was. It's almost like a fiberglass, so I thought I was doing a good job of keeping it off me. I had gloves and everything, but obviously that wasn't enough because the stuff kind of flies around. Let's take this stuff outside and get to it. I'd like to record this part, but it's going to make an absolute mess doing these edges, so I'm not going to record it, but just take your time around the edges, guys, and you shouldn't have a problem. Use something like this. Took my time, did the edges, got it actually pretty good. I haven't even hand sanded it yet. This is just with this little tool, so I ended up using this the whole time, and I actually used the edge of it just like this around the whole edge at the end. But you see, I just took off one piece nice and slow, not too fast. You don't want to mess up and scrape the edge or do something you can't reverse, but came out really good so far, I would say. So now it's time to hand sand around all the edges. I'm going to be using 220 grit. Just touch up this area a little bit and then denib that, and the edges actually came out pretty good, so it's not going to take me long to clean this up and get them ready for the last coat of epoxy. Alright, so those babies are all sanded up nice, cleaned up the edges really good, drilled my holes, reamed the inside of the holes, did the edges on the back side as well. Now I'm going to use some final white, and we'll go ahead and put that last coat of epoxy resin on there, and they should be looking really good. I did my best to smooth it out with that 220 and then went back over it with the 600, so I'm going to make sure I lay it on there really smooth. Probably use this applicator and then the brush to get it on there as smooth as I can. And then what a little trick I'm going to do is take a hair dryer and then just heat up just so it can lay out as flat as possible. I made sure to test fit them both too, because once I drilled those holes, just wanted to make sure I did them on the right spot in the side, because I got the perfect size drill bit for it, so ended up being perfect. Alright, just finished mixing the last coat. Did a nice 2.5 minute mix. They recommend 2, so I did 2.5 just to be sure. Alright, so stuff's all mixed up good. Use the brush and just brush it on there. So these last coats you're going to want to do nice and even. Make sure you're going even strokes with the even amount of epoxy to get the best look. I'm still going to wet sand it after and then polish it, but for now I'm still going to try to do the best job I can laying it on there. That's a good coating on the first one. Made sure I got every spot and around the edges. Any drips you can take care of at the end. You get about 25 minutes working time with this stuff here. It's like a little bit of a work of art. Hardest part is once it starts to get shiny, you just want to make sure that you're not missing any areas, because if you do, you're gonna have a dry spot, and when you go to wet sand it to do what you're gonna do to it, you're gonna be a little bummed out. Alright, so let's finish lathering on the rest of this stuff here. Make sure you just do nice even coats, not really much to see here, and sure you don't want to just see me talk. So let's get right to the last step of this and see how they look in the end. Final product, 24 hours later. As soon as I open the door, I see them shining. I'm like, damn, they look good. Look at that. All hardened up, nice. Still got another day or so before I'm going to wet sand it or do anything like that, but you can see they already look really good. I could put them on like this, and I actually think I'm gonna, so I can show you guys how they look on the bike in the end. Here's the other side, looking good too. This was the hard part right in this area. It actually laid out really good. I was worried about it all the way up until I got it coated. It looks awesome. So first time working with this material, so I'm really happy. First time doing carbon fiber skinning in general, so it came out perfect. I made sure I filled in all the bottom so there's no cracks. Everything is, you know, sealed up nice. The carbon fiber has no cracks, no water to get inside or nothing like that, so I'm hoping it never delaminates. Got the light speed cable clamp on there. I should have put a little epoxy over that to shine it up, but I didn't even think of it till now. Still looks fine though. Let's pop these things on the bike. Got them installed. What do you guys think? Check out the other side. One little imperfection I can see on this side. It's hard to see until it gets like in the right light, but right about here looks like a little piece of the carbon fiber got misplaced, but other than that they look mint. Really happy with how they turned out. What do you guys think? Matches the rest of the carbon fiber I got on the bike now. I don't think there's really much else carbon I can do. Got the D3 looking good on there. We got the heat shield. That looks good. I clear coated that. Back sides look good. Like I said, it's the first time doing carbon fiber skinning or working with carbon fiber in general, so I'd say I'm pretty happy. They came out about 90%. I still can wet sand them and then polish them if I want to get them looking really, really good, which I'm gonna do. But just for the video purposes, I put them on now. I got the holes drilled out perfectly. They're all tightened down right now. And with this smaller Midas front tire, a lot of the guys like to run the super wide front tire. I had the IRC on there, which is a little bit skinnier than the other Midas. This Midas is the Terraforce, so you can fit this tire on these front ends without having to trim the fork guards, and then also without the tire hitting in here. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, thanks for watching the video, guys. I appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're gonna go ahead and attempt making these yourself, let me know how it works out for you. She's a ripper though. Can't wait till we got a race coming up next weekend. Was gonna do one this weekend, but it looks like it got rained out. So until then, she'll just be hibernating.